Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars video. And today we're talking about the Clone Wars, specifically Season 7. Now, there's been what I'd call a vocal minority or a small group of people who weren't huge fans of the first arc of the Clone Wars, and I sort of get it. The Bad Batch arc was sort of detached from what it seems like the rest of Season 7 will be about. It was pretty basic action, it was really focused on the clones, and besides for some key moments like Anakin and Padme, there wasn't that much connection to the greater story of the prequels, though I do think we get some cool stuff with Rex and Echo. However, just today, we've received brief descriptions of the next 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, and boy, do these get me excited. Not only because we don't exactly know what's going to happen with these episodes, unlike the Bad Batch arc, there weren't pre-existing unfinished episodes for this that we could watch in their entirety, so we really don't know what's going on, and that will be especially true of the final 4 episodes. But let's look at the brief descriptions for the next arc that we've gotten, and just as a warning, there are some mild spoilers in here, so if you want to go in completely free, maybe don't look at these. It's basically what you'd get if you looked at the episode description on your TV guide, for example. Anyway, I'll read the description, then we'll talk about it. The Clone Wars, Episode 707, Dangerous Debt. Taken prisoner by the Pikes, Ahsoka and the Martez sisters attempt to escape. And we've actually seen some of all of this, but especially this scenes, in a recent short trailer that was released. We also have Together Again, where Ahsoka bargains for the sisters' freedom and makes a startling discovery. Then we have Old Friends Not Forgotten, where Anakin and Obi-Wan must decide whether to help Ahsoka pursue Maul or rescue Palpatine. Then finally, The Phantom Apprentice. Cool name, by the way. Ahsoka and Republic forces confront Maul on Mandalore. So there's a lot that's getting me excited here. One of my main criticisms of the Clone Wars is the fact that it is so structured in arcs, and these last episodes really seem like they'll be presenting a coherent narrative. Usually the arcs would be perhaps 4 episodes long, but it seems pretty clear that this arc will move fairly fluidly into the eventual siege on Mandalore. But alongside that, we're also going to get some awesome representations of the Coruscant underworld, and we've already seen that from some of Season 7's trailers. Plus, of course, the reappearance of Maul, going back to Mandalore, basically tying up the 2 most famous threads of the Clone Wars, is really exciting, and I'm curious to figure out what's happened to Maul between his confrontation with Palpatine, where Savage was killed. Admittedly, some of this has been covered in the Son of Dathomir comic, but I'm curious to see how it's treated in the Clone Wars. Is Maul going to be scarred and terrified from now on, or is he just going to be the same aggressive beast that he's always been? So we have what I think will be a fairly cohesive conclusion, one that will have time to build up to the finale. You have some episodes focused on Coruscant, which is arguably the most interesting place in Star Wars. You have the clones in Mandalore, and you have the fact that none of these episodes have the same treatment of the Bad Batch arc, so we really don't know exactly what to expect. But there's something else, and specifically Episode 3, Old Friends Not Forgotten. We have the fact that Anakin and Obi-Wan must decide whether to help Ahsoka pursue Maul or rescue Palpatine. That means that this episode will be directly rubbing up against the events of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. They're going to be on Coruscant as this happens, but there's even a chance that we might see the Battle of Coruscant from a different perspective, which would be awesome. We could perhaps see the kidnapping like we did in the original Clone Wars TV show, although I don't think that's especially likely, but we know from this point on now that we're crossing over with Episode 3. We know that shit is about to hit the fan. Maybe it's because I'm not as well versed in the unfinished Clone Wars episodes, but I didn't really expect the integration with the prequels to be this heavy, especially with Episode 3. I knew there was a chance it might end with some Order 66-like sequence, but to me the Clone Wars has always been about the in-between time. So the fact that we're moving headfirst into this monumental event is really interesting to me. We're going to get to see an entirely other side of one of my favorite Star Wars movies, Revenge of the Sith. We'll get to see what's going on with our favorite characters as basically everything that they know comes to an end. This episode really represents why I'm now so excited for the rest of Season 7. I'm a little scared, I won't lie. I want to see what happens with Rex, whether he has to turn on his fellow clones, how he's able to remove his inhibitor chip. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. But what I'm most happy about is, and I guess there's nothing about this news in particular that makes me feel this way, that we'll be getting a proper, thought-out ending for a series that has meant so much to so many people. I recently rewatched all of the Clone Wars. It was way better than even I remembered, and I've grown so attached to all these characters, I'm excited and sad to see it end. But what do you think? Do these episode descriptions get you as pumped up as they do me? Do you think this season has lived up to its promises? Has the new animation for you been as impressive as some people have claimed? I want to hear all about that and everything else down in the description. This was a shorter video though, so I will do a hashtag AskEck before it's time to go. Today's question comes from Tulio, who asks, how does the Empire transport and deploy AT-ATs from their ships? Is there any piece of Star Wars media that shows this? First of all, Night Raven gives a great answer. He says in the Rebels cartoon series, we see a pair of AT-ATs get deployed from a Gazanti class cruiser. That's a great point, and I will also say that there have been other instances, particular in Star Wars Legends, that show a variety of delivery methods for AT-ATs. For one, if your ship is small enough or designed for atmospheric entry, something like an acclimator, you could just land that and unload the vessel directly. But aside from that, there are perhaps dozens of different dropships meant for carrying AT-ATs into battle. One used in the video games frequently was the Theta class, but a far more common one in the lore was the Titan dropship, which was basically designed as a heavy armored transport ship. Aside from that, you could have everything from very small transports, which would take a small walker down, to basically giant platforms, which would move entire companies of military forces down to the surface. So I hope that answers your question. I know it's not very explicit, but just know that there are plenty of different options. That's all I have for you guys today though. Hope you had a great one. As always, keep safe, wash your hands, don't let anyone, even General Grievous, cough in your face, and as always, may the Force be with you.